Welcome to another episode of Aussie Bucking. We have reached the 21st century. Tyson has got too much timber to split, so we decided to hire this with a neighbour of ours who does timber also. He's got a wood stove or wood heater for the house, the same as we have. So he's going to do a heap of splitting, and we are too. This is a brand new machine. Has never made a blow in anger, as you can see by the chisel or the axe, what do you want to call it. It's a bush ranger, Chinese made, but it looks good, looks well made, and we're going to see how it runs over the next couple of days. It's got about 3 days of solid splitting to do. Someone has passed this. Whoever that is has passed it anyway, so we'll see how it all turns out. This is some of the timber we've got to do, so it's all pretty tough all the way through there. Good luck, bush ranger.
Dry split wood.
like a little review on this log splitter that we've hired for 3 days from our local town. So it is a Bush Ranger. It is Chinese made. It's got signs of that down here, as I showed in the first place. Just here. The guy there, he passed it. But what he missed out on was a few things. The quality's not quite right there. Tyson's going to try to zoom in on this part here where you fill your oil from. And you can see already that they've jammed it up against the bit of a framework there, and it's also cutting into it already. So that's one fault with it. And I've just checked that the slots for the motor are already all the way forward. So you can't move it any way forward yet. If you brought one, you'd have to adjust that or just check that to make sure that it is right. Another thing too, we bent this here and broke a bolt on the axe. When you've got two bits of timber joined together and it returns and you push back and it's automatically going backwards, what happens is a bit of timber gets caught there, caught here, and goes against the ram and gives that a bit of a hurry-curry because it's weak going backwards, not forwards. So it pushes against this part here, the end of the ram, but when it's going back, it's only the bolt holder, and it snapped off on our neighbour when he was using it. So I put a bit heavier bolt through it and tried to straighten it. Also, when the timber returns back into here, if you're not quite awake of what you're doing there, when it's returning back, if a bit of timber is jammed against this little edge here, it pushes against here. Of course, it's 30 tonne on return also, which it would be. It also pushes against these and forces them out. I've belted them back in. I shouldn't say it's a hard one, but I've fixed it up to make it look like it is okay, you know what I mean? These here, this part here is hard to work with because when you go to lean there, it's a hard edge, just right where it shouldn't be. I reckon they should cut a little piece away here. If I owned it, I'd probably cut away here so they can get into a nicer angle to work there. It's pointed right there in the bad spot, as you can see. After a while, it gets to you. So another thing is these here are weak. That little return is not enough. It needs to be high because logs do fall off. I would fix that part if I brought one. This here is flimsy. Tyson put a couple of big rounds here and it bent it down. It's very weak. You need to strengthen that part too. Also, protection on the motor is hopeless. You get timber that comes off and wants to fall there all the time. You'll be very, very careful. It's a hard one, but if it's yours, it doesn't make any difference hard or not. You'd want to make sure that your little motor is, or the engine is actually protected. When they did this here, protected a little bit, it's hard to get fuel in. You have to have a flexible funnel to get into there, and probably the best way is back through this way here, and so it holds it in place to put the fuel in. It's a bit of a average setup here. It needs to come forward more and more protection. If I had the thing myself, if I brought it, I'd build a little cover over here and a cover over here and make a little door that you can lift up and service the thing, so it just protects the motor a lot better. Coming into here, this here is very unprotected at the front of the carby, front of the engine. If your log flicked up after you're moving it or whatever, it would want to smash the bloody carby off it. That's another thing that's wrong with it. The hitch on it is absolute junk. We had trouble getting it on and off the vehicle. So when I adjusted the tongue on it, and it still didn't make much difference. The first thing I would do is put a good quality hitch on it. The jack's good. I have to say the jack works nice, but it did a lot of work. It did a lot of work for us, and between the 3 days that we're splitting, I don't know how much timber we actually split, but you can see the wear and tear on it. It can split. And we cut some, as you see in the video we've done, you can see what sort of material we're putting through it, and it's very hard Australian timber. So it did the bloody job pushing and cracking every split that was ever thrown at it, every round that was thrown at it. Sorry. So on this here part here, there was a little tiny cover here, rubber cover. It's gone. It didn't take long. It's just like slipped off the end. We didn't worry about putting it back on because it was just going to do it again. That there, when you push in, I know you've got to hold it there, but it would be good if it, when you're doing only 400 splits, there was some sort of adjustment where it had something up here to activate a pin to close the valve up and stop it every time here, and then go forward. It's painful when you're trying to do a lot of work with it, and be very busy here trying to keep the timber away from it. You've got to keep your hand forward all the time to do it. It'd be unreal if it would want to push forward by itself too, if you could override that, but it would take out the danger or the safety part of it. But I would try to modify that for my own use. But otherwise, it went fantastic. The little Kohler engine on it didn't miss a beat. It went first pull when I got it to site. It's a great little engine. It works hard with the hydraulic pump when you start putting a lot of pressure on it, but otherwise it didn't fail at all. It ran real good. But we probably only put about 20 hours on it, 30 hours. I don't really know, I didn't keep a check, but we put quite a few tanks of fuel through it. Otherwise, for like $3,500, I would say it's a good little investment. I'd really hate to try to make it for $3,500. There's quite a bit of engineering in it, but the Chinese, they know how to do it. Anyway, we're going to wind up now, and that's the end of our splitting session for now. So, cheers.